All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Most of you know me. My name is Mark Young, and I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing here at Friendship Village. And thank you all for joining us today. We are truly excited that we get to share with you our most valuable resources, which are our residents. So thank you, residents, for joining us today as well. During the event, I'll send out a chat to everybody in the entire group. And if you respond to me in chat that you have a question, I will mark down your name and then I'll put you in order, and the residents will get to it and answer that as best we can. If the residents can't answer a question, I'm sure Cole or I could take on the task. So I will get that out momentarily. And the last thing that I ask is, if you're not speaking, please mute yourself. We've had some unnecessary distractions in the past, and it would be really good to get through this without some of those. So if you're not speaking, go ahead and mute yourself. But as soon as I get some questions rolling in, I will start that process. But in the meantime, Rosemary, if you want to start, please tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been at Friendship Village, and one thing in particular you want the attendees to know. You're on mute, Rosemary.
First, I mute myself, and then I forget to unmute myself. So good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be with you and happy to have lived at Friendship Village for almost 4 years now. It will be 4 years in October. And one thing in particular that I really want to share with you this morning is how much I appreciate how loving and friendly the people are here at Friendship Village. And this part is huge. To accept others as they are was very important to me in finding a home to live like this. And so I found that in Friendship Village. They accept me. They accept all people just as they are. And I love that. That was very important to me that be so. And that is so here at Friendship Village. And I think that expectation or that way of thinking and acting is modeled by the administration here. It comes from the top. And so, yeah. The top says we treat everybody with respect. They model that each day. And so others pick up on that. And that's just the way we are here at Friendship Village. And I love that. So thank you. Glad to be with you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Diane, how about you?
Hi, everyone. I'm Diane Whalen. I was born in Pittsburgh, PA, and I lived in Warner Ranch for about 25 years. I've been at Friendship Village for 5 years. The thing I like the best is the opportunity for new experiences. You know, you can go to the wood shop, you can go to the pottery, you can try anything your heart desires. I love that. Thank you.
All right, Diane, thank you very much. Dick and Cheryl.
Well, Cheryl and I have been here at Friendship Village now for almost 3 years. We've been in Arizona for 25 or more. I think in talking with Cheryl the other day, I asked her what she valued most at Friendship Village, so I'll let her answer that.
Well, I have to agree with Diane and that there's just a ton of activities here. And I knew there would be, but wow. I mean, you could do something almost every minute of the day.
The thing that impressed me is the very first time I walked in the door next to the Village Cafe, I was not here as part of a marketing excursion. I had another purpose for being here. And the first person I saw waved and said hello. So friendship is part of this place. And that's really important to all of us.
I love that. Thank you very much. Debbie, how about you? You're on mute, Debbie.
Sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Debbie Farnham, and I have been here at the village for about 2.5 years now. I'm from Flagstaff originally, and I needed to move down to a lower elevation to keep my lungs functioning, which was really important. I would say that my first thought is that the village is very easy to reside in. And I knew nothing about the village before I discovered it driving on Southern Avenue. And from the second that I drove to the guard shack, it was just come on in. And it's been that way ever since. So I really appreciate the ease with which the village supports and creates such an environment for its residents and staff, and the leadership absolutely is the model.
I was going to say, yeah, and staff too. I love it here as well. Everybody I work with loves this place, and we echo that. So thank you very much. And Margie, last but certainly not least.
Good morning. My name is Margie Aringas, and we've been here, my husband Justin and I, for just over 2.5 years. Friendship Village is the most welcoming place. From the minute you come in the gate, as Debbie said, it is totally welcoming, and you make yourself at home. From the minute you choose your lodging, whatever that might be, whether it's an apartment or a casita or one of the cottages, you have the opportunity to make it your own, and you move in and you do feel at home from the minute you move on to camp. Well, even before you move on to campus, because as we were coming through for different marketing events and just dropping in, we'd have people invite us into their homes. Would you like to see my cottage? Would you like to see my apartment? And so Friendship Village is just a wonderful place to be, and totally aptly named. So thank you for letting me be a part of this event this morning.
Oh, thank you for being a part of this event. All right, so we're going to shift now to some of the questions that have come in. And at this point, I'm going to ask John to unmute himself. He has 3 questions. And John, if you would like to ask those questions, that would be great.
Hi, Mark. I appreciate it.
Sure.
I'd like to know from the residents, what was it about Friendship Village that made you want to live there? What made it stand out from its competitors?
I'd like to say it's the people. And those people start at the top with Cole and the rest of the administrative staff, and it goes all the way down through the residents to all of the employees. This is a family made up of staff and of the residents. And it's something you feel from the minute you walk on this campus. And my husband and I were not ready to be here. And so for 2.5 years, we came to absolutely everything that was offered. And every time, without exception, no matter what we were here for, when we drove off this campus, we had smiles on our faces, and we always said, we could be really happy living there. We're just not ready to do it yet. But that's the best part of it. It's just the whole atmosphere.
Okay, thank you. John, you have another question?
Yeah, I appreciate it. How are, if families, people bicker and argue sometimes, how are disagreements handled amongst the residents? Say somebody's dog is barking constantly, or you've got a loud television. How does that work?
Who would like to go ahead and answer that?
I would like to respond to that. I've had an experience. It's so easy to talk to people here because they, as I said earlier, they are open and friendly. So I went to this person and shared my concern, and we just worked it out. It just was good. So I think going directly to each other because we are so open, and just chatting with each other will help us to work through a lot of whatever may be concerning you. That is the only situation that I dealt with, and it was resolved with a conversation, with us face to face talking with each other and saying, hey, I want to share this with you, and would you consider blah, blah. Well, Rosemary, I didn't realize that, she said. And so it was taken care of. So I would suggest that method, talk to each other.
Terrific. And Cole, do you want to chime in? Has there been a time where residents couldn't come to a consensus, and at that point, what happened?
Well, we do run a benevolent dictatorship here, and it tends to work well. Yeah, we've had situations where we've had to agree to disagree, but I really am pretty darn good at splitting the baby when necessary and figuring out win-wins, because the good thing I can tell anybody that's thinking about Friendship Village is we are so laser beam focused on resident satisfaction that nothing can derail us. And when you have an organization that's committed from the top down, I've got skin in the game. The last thing I want is you to be unhappy. It's not like you check out of a hotel. It's not like you don't come back to my restaurant. You're here, I'm here, I see you every day, and I want you happy. So we work hard. And you know, something else we're good at is if the answer has to be no, which is rare, we usually find a way to meet in the middle, but if it has to be no, I had a resident tell me one time, Cole, it's crazy. I'm walking out of your office. You just told me no, and I'm so happy. And I was like, wow, thank you. But if the answer is no, you're going to know exactly why it's no. And then that can still continue to go back and forth. But the answer is yes. What's the question? And that's just how we run it. And it works.
It does work. John, I see that you have one more question.
Yeah, I'm going to alter the question slightly.
Sure.
Do we have any non-Americans living there at Friendship Village? My wife, for example, is British, and she's a bit concerned about how her being British with a funny accent.
We have three
might play.
Brits here that I can think off of on top of my head, three, and then one in our sales team as well. So specific to that, and then the answer is yes, even beyond that. Many different cultures all over the world, to be honest. We have folks that have come from China, Japan, France, Mexico, and I'm sure I'm missing many, but definitely.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you very much.
So I just want to remind everybody, if you do have a question in the
Margie
chat
had
area,
something to add. I saw Margie's hand go up.
I just wanted to add that in addition to the people who are coming from different nations because they were born there, there's also a very large percentage of our population that lived overseas for periods of their life. So this is a pretty international group. Thanks.
Debbie, did you want to add anything?
After Margie was just speaking, I was thinking to myself that our population is relatively well-traveled as well. And that's always stimulating conversation, is to share stories about our travels and so on. So that was really just what I was thinking.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder, if you have a question, go ahead and type it into the chat area so I can get your name, and that way we can introduce you and have you ask your question. But I've got one here, and it is, what was the biggest challenge you faced in making your decision to come to Friendship Village?
I'll take that if you like.
Sure.
May I?
Yes.
Because I didn't know anybody down here in the valley, I think that was my primary challenge. Yet, and I didn't know much about I basically knew nothing about the village. And as I came in that one day, totally unannounced, and I began to read through the information and talk to folks. Again, I just walked on campus. And I realized that the village had a life care plan, which was extremely important to me. I came with with the diagnoses and that sort of thing. And I had thought in Flagstaff, my beautiful historic home would be my forever home. Then I realized that I needed to make some dramatic changes in my lifestyle and my quality of life. So the village really helped me understand that it was going to be my new forever home, that I would not have to move again ever. So that was extremely relieving to me. Plus, it provided me with a ready group of friends. I've since met several people who have come here from Flagstaff and others. I mean, good night. I can't even tell you how the percentage of people that I now know, in addition to my family and my friends up in Flag. So it's, I would say that just the assurance and the feeling of safety and support and respect that is just an everyday circumstance. It's not created. John, back to your question about the usual types of things that happen within families and friendships and relationships in general. The population here at the village is representative of the general population. So there are situations, as Rosemary mentioned, that are could be fairly acrimonious, yet there's such a level of respect and recognition for each other. We've already done that stuff. We're just here to have a good life and share it with each other. So I would say that. Thank you.
That was a terrific answer. Yes, Dick.
Well, I want to continue on the thought of what was the most difficult part of moving here. Now, I mentioned earlier, we've been here almost 3 years, but 13, maybe 14 years ago, we committed to moving to a life care facility and lived there for 8 years. So there was a difference between that and this one that caused us to move. When we moved the first time, it was going to be the last move we ever made. Now we've made another one, and we made a good decision to come here because this is a not-for-profit organization, whereas the other one was not, and that impacted the service that was provided. So that's something all of the potential candidates should keep in mind. Not-for-profit is a good deal.
That's a very important point. Thank you for making that. Diane, what were your biggest challenges that you faced in making a decision to move to Friendship Village?
I'm not sure they were challenges. I was just excited because of what was going on here, checking it out. And like Dick just said, the nonprofit was very appealing to me. And the life care was also very appealing, along with everything else, and 40 years of experience. But just talking to the people makes you feel much better.
Absolutely. Thank you. We've got another question. How did you cope with leaving a big home and letting go of some of your things? Who would like to tackle that one? Yes. Cheryl.
One thing I would say is to don't move too, because moving out of a big home when you're in your upper 80s or 90s just doesn't work very well. I had that experience moving my 88-year-old mother out of into a Friendship Village. And so I said, that will not happen to me. I will make the move, A, when I can enjoy the place that I'm moving to, and B, where I'm not going to kill myself trying to make the move. So I can't encourage people enough to don't wait too long.
Things are just stuffed.
Right. I think I lost you for 1 second. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we
Okay.
can.
Margie, I see your hands up.
You asked about moving from a big home to a smaller one. We've all done it. Stuff is stuff. Some of it's really important and some of it really isn't. And you'll go through your things and you'll make decisions, you'll make choices, and you'll get here and you're going to ask yourself, why did I keep this? And then you'll be asking yourself, oh, why did I get rid of that? So it's your best guess. It's, you know, you prioritize the things you have to have. Then you look at the things you want to have. And there's a lot of things you really don't need. And boy, Goodwill and, you know, any of the homeless shelters, there's lots of places that just would love anything that you want to donate to them. And for us, we found the fact that we were donating to somebody who was going to treasure whatever it was that we weren't going to treasure anymore because we had too much of it. That made it a lot easier for us to part with things. So that's kind of one of the benchmarks you can use is, you know, do I want it? Do I need it? Will someone else really need this more than I do?
Right, right. Oh, good point. Yes, Diane.
I'll follow up on that. Good idea, Margie, but I want to remind everyone that if you do go to move in and you have household items, there's always the village shop. And that creates money for the village. So that's another thing to think about. They don't take furniture or men's items, but there's little things that you move in and you can't find a place for. We'll take them.
So the village shop is a place where we can donate items and then they're for sale. And then the proceeds come back to the village. Is that correct?
That is correct. That last year, the year before last, Cole, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the village shop made $72,000, which went to beds in the healthcare center.
Yeah, that was the record year was in the low 70s. And when you do the dollars per square foot, it's incredible. But yeah, they're fully dedicated to improving the quality of life of residents who reside in the healthcare center. And hospital beds, better improved hospital beds, and more importantly, the mattresses became their focus based upon friends that were living there. And they have helped us do just about replace everything we have over there. So it's been a cool cause.
Terrific. Thank you, Diane. Yes, Dick.
One thing that we've experienced, people tend to move into a place like this and they bring a whole lot of stuff for the kitchen because they're going to do a lot of cooking. How many of you do that? Not many of us do a lot of cooking. So that's one thing you can keep in mind if you're planning to move to a place like this.
Good point. We've got many restaurants and different amenities here that have food and spirits. So you're going to do a lot less cooking from what I understand. John, can you hear me? Oh, I think I've lost.
No,
We can hear
I can
you.
hear you, Mark.
Okay,
There was a little blip though.
all right. So John, if you can hear me, you have a question you'd like to ask.
And just out of curiosity, how old is the youngest resident?
Woo.
Who would like to tackle that one?
I would only like to say that we don't talk about that. We give ranges of age. We don't tell you our actual age.
Fair enough.
We've had people in
answer.
their late 50s, early 60s come in.
Yes.
That would be the range.
Yep.
But I'd like to
Okay.
add to that, you'll be amazed when you learn that somebody just turned 90 years old and you're saying, what? People here might have many more years than you expect based on their behavior and their enthusiasm for life. So the number is not all that important. And we came in as kind of the baby end, but boy, there's people who are younger than we are, and it doesn't matter. There are people who are older than we are as well, but we all just have fun together.
Rosemary?
Yes, I'm fairly young. And, but I love to exercise. And so right next to me, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday was Phyllis, who has
Yep.
just turned 102. I tell you, she could ring, she exercised rings around me. But so 60, 55, I believe, if you have a mate, at least 62, I believe is the expectation. And
Yes.
so, yeah, we have a wide range of ages, all the way from that 55 up through, I know Phyllis is 102.
Or more.
Yeah.
What I like is the ability, because there is a different kind of range of expertise and interesting conversations, that I call it going to see the wise man. And so there are certain people that I really enjoy having philosophical discussions with. And they're certainly, can be decades older than me, but it just incredible how sharp the brain remains when it's shared and utilized and cared for.
Thank you very much. Larry, are you trying to answer, or to ask a question? You're on mute, so if you want to unmute yourself. So Mrs. Manson, you're on mute. If you look at the very bottom of your screen, there's going to be a little microphone. If you want to tap on that, that will unmute you so we could hear you.
Mark, are you able to unmute them as the leader as well?
I'm looking at that too, and I can't see that I can. It just says ask to unmute. So
Got it.
Hey, there they go.
here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. All right.
Okay. Well, we happened to just get your letter in the mail today, and luckily we were going to be talking to you. I guess the not-for-profit, somebody just spoke about that a little bit, and I would like to know the differences between that and maybe a V or a VI, whatever it is, who is a profit organization. What is really the difference to me for nonprofit versus profit?
I'd like to take that, and then Cole, if you'll touch on the business end, that'd be helpful. I spent my entire career in healthcare, only in not-for-profits, had a little short stint in a for-profit. And the importance for me, and I certainly considered that upon learning about Friendship Village, is there's an entirely different approach and business to a not-for-profit. It's an amazing difference in the environment, in the atmosphere, the attitudes of people, how the money is managed. And it's such a relief to be within an organization that, as Cole said earlier, the answer is yes. Now, what is the question? And it is just a totally different attitude. I pay close attention to that not-for-profit status because I am comfortable in it. And the residents, the staff, the leadership, the whole healthcare aspect that's available to us is incredibly a different model from a for-profit.
Okay.
So just to add on, so as the executive director, it allows me to run the village how I believe it should be run. I don't have any gun pointed in my head by shareholders pushing me to figure out a way to generate profit. if we don't. But when you run things correctly, money is really a byproduct, or profit is a byproduct of doing things correctly. So in 2019, without doing anything special or anything aggressive, the village made about $2 million as a not-for-profit. You take that money and you put it into your investments, into your savings, which the village has done over many years and has built up quite a nice sized investment that we are able to keep in there and keep us financially healthy, so that when we went through the economic crisis of 2008, 9, 10, 11, we didn't cancel a single program. We didn't change a single thing. We didn't lay off a single staff member. We did not change anything about what we did. We effectively stood in the rain, knowing that we had a really effective rain umbrella, and we came out on the other end. Last year, 2020, COVID-19, one of the hardest things that's ever hit senior housing, we lost about $2 million. What did we do? Nothing. We didn't lay off anybody. We didn't cut any services. Our monthly service fee went up by 4%. If you were in a for-profit environment, that increase could have been 6, 7, 8, 9% increase in order to try to catch up with that $2 million that was lost, so as to not upset shareholders. We don't have that type of pressure on us, so it's good. I would lie if I said we don't like to be profitable. That is very important for you as a resident, you as a stakeholder. But at the same time, we're not doing it on the backs of the people that chose to live here. So it's just, for me, being who I am, it allows me to be me, and that has to be the case, or else I wouldn't stay here for 14 years.
Well, I guess the reason I'm asking that, because I was in healthcare for quite a while as well. How does that status, though, affect your life care? I see that it says priority access to life care. I guess that bothered me.
I'm going to answer that real quick, and then I'm going to answer that real quick, and then I'll let Cheryl weigh in. So what you're looking at is part of our phase 2 media that we're putting out. And so specific to being able to have priority access to life care means we're not going to have this building built and available for people to move in until 2023. So that's a solid 2 years from now. Let's say you go ahead and you convert from your $1,000 down to your 10% down. You select the home that you want, you select the home where it's at in the building, and you have not paid the 90%. You're not paying any monthly service fees. You've just locked in your spot. God forbid something happen December of 2021 where you might need to come into our healthcare center. You would have the ability to close on some existing home that we have here, and then start accessing your life care benefit, get access to the healthcare center. So that was something we did for phase 1, and found that it was wildly popular to have that kind of protection basically behind you. God forbid something happens in between now and moving in. And so what you're talking about is that really doesn't have anything to do with not-for-profit, but it's just something that we're offering. And then Cheryl, if you want to add in.
Well, Dick and I lived in a for-profit facility in North Phoenix. And we lived there from 2010 to 2018. And we actually bought in before it was built. And it was a life care, like it was LCS, like we are here, but it was a for-profit. And there's a huge difference. We actually left there because the whole attitude towards care was not the same. That they had a healthcare center which was dysfunctional, or just plain did not work at all, and just all kinds of stuff that I think a lot of the service was actually sacrificed to make money. And again, I mean, we all appreciate the need to make money, but not at the expense of not having anyone who could really make an emergency call to your home. I mean, they were sharing the e-call with the nursing staff in the healthcare center. both those functions are important, yet they were sacrificed when you have the same people trying to do multiple things. So there's no question, there's a huge difference between the for-profit that we actually lived in for 8 years, and we still have lots of friends there, to what we're experiencing here, which is good healthcare, good assisted living, good all kinds of stuff that, you know, even though we say, well, we'll never need that, you know what, just as Cole said, you just never know. So you want to be as good as possible.
Thank you.
And I'd like to chime in also and say, literally, as residents of Friendship Village, we are card-carrying residents of Friendship Village. We all have a couple of cards that we keep in our wallets and readily available if we're in a hospital, in an ED or whatever, that we can present this card and let them know that we are residents of Friendship Village, and should the need arise, they need to contact the village and arrange that care plan, discharge planning. They're very, very involved in our healthcare, and there's a place for us when we get out of that highly acute care setting into the healthcare center or Nunning Camp or whatever. So that's very, very important to me. And I recently had an opportunity to flash my card. So I was pretty proud. So there you go.
I like that. Yeah, thank you for those questions. Very important points to make out the differences between profit and nonprofit, and actually how we operate and run the village. So thank you for asking that. I've got another question here. It's more on a lighter side. It is, how does your family feel about your move to Friendship Village? Anyone would like to tackle that?
I would love to respond to that.
Yes, Rosemary.
Prior to deciding where I wanted to move, what life care facility I wanted to live in, I did a lot of research. I spent actually a couple of years researching various life care communities in the metropolitan area, but I didn't do that alone. I have two sons, two awesome sons. So they experienced that with me. They went to these various facilities with me to hear firsthand information that I would be receiving. Then when I narrowed it down to 3 facilities, and I began coming to events regularly, then my sons, my beautiful daughter-in-law, and my granddaughter were right there with me. They were hearing all the time firsthand what was happening. So when I decided where I wanted to live, there were no questions on their part because they knew all of the ins and outs, and they agreed that I had made an excellent decision because they were involved all along the way. They were here with me yesterday in my casita to celebrate my birthday, which was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And part of the conversation was, hey, Mom. In fact, my oldest son says, you know, I would not mind living here one day when I qualify. So they are pleased with my decision. They are comfortable coming here. They really like Friendship Village and all of the amenities and just the atmosphere. So that's what I would like to share concerning my family. And it's because I think they walked through the whole experience with me. So there were no questions, nothing that they were not clear about. They know this place just about as well as I do.
All right, thank you for that. Anybody else want to tackle that question? Yes, Margie.
To take it from the other perspective, because we are alone out here in Arizona and we only have peripheral family left and no children. And so being the healthiest members of our family, even though we're older than all the cousins, people really didn't understand why we were doing this until they came to visit. And they stayed with us for a couple of days, and without exception, friends and family have said, now we understand why you decided to make the move now. And all they had to do was be here and see Friendship Village functioning the way it functions and just be part of our everyday life. And there were no questions. It was like, yeah, you were really smart to do this. So it's the opposite end of what Rosemary had.
Sure. Ted.
Well, I would say that one way to look at this would be a gift to your children. I know Cheryl's experience with her mother. We were living in Chicago. Her mother was in Michigan. You'd call and there would be no answer. So what happened? Did she fall down the stairs?
No, we were living here.
All of that kind of situation. And finally, it worked out that Cheryl convinced her mother to move. We didn't want to do that. And I have two sons, and I didn't want to put them through that kind of concern and worry. It's a gift to the children when you move to a place like this.
That's a great point. Yes, Debbie.
So I wanted to mention that the relief on the family members can be such that every now and then you have to call them and say, hey, remember me, Ma? I live at Friendship Village, but you could call me every now and then. But actually the other part of it is that when the residents have their families come in, we love to take our family members around and introduce them. And then the next time they visit, they are recognized. There's a conversation with the other residents that met them. There's a check-in. I mean, it's just a sample of how the family unit gets reformed when you're a resident here.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's see. We have one question that came in. Brent in Maryland, would you like to ask your question?
Unmuted here.
There we go.
We just wanted to comment and kind of back to the healthcare center that is an important function. My sister, we moved her into Friendship Village in 2016. She lived down the street from Friendship Village and saw it being built 40 years ago. When we moved her in, she was starting to have some dementia, and I was afraid you might not accept her, but they did, with a little caveat on her contract. For 2 years, she lived in independent living. And in 2018, I moved her into the healthcare center. We almost went to Nunnenkamp assisted care, which looked great. We even chose an apartment, but I could see she was slipping more. And they were with me in helping me get her into the healthcare center because I live in Washington State. So I was just down there I had a limited time before I'd fly home. They jumped on everything like immediately. And the next day she was in the healthcare center. Just fantastic independent living nurses and assistants there. And she has been there, like I say, since October of 18. She loves it. She's receiving excellent care no matter what happens to her. I hear about it. They have quarterly healthcare meetings where I'm on a conference call with them and get updated on her diet, her exercise, everything. It is absolutely awesome and fantastic. And everybody there at Friendship Village has just been fantastic anytime I've been there. Thank you.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Well,
Yeah.
One of the things that we did, and we've looked at both the V's, we've looked at like 15 different places.
Even up in
And
Washington.
yeah, 2 or 3 in Washington, 1 in Oregon, a couple in California. We made the decision basically because of what they've done for Marilyn's sister, how great it is. And then realizing that the ratio of beds in the healthcare center and Nunnenkamp to the population is much higher than any other place we looked. Like at V, if you go to V at Silverstone, Friendship Village has 5 times the number of beds. I don't want to get in it. I don't ever want to be there. But if I need to be there, I want to make sure there's one. And the only place I could guarantee that was here at Friendship Village.
So we have our deposit
So,
on phase 2.
yeah, so we're in the first 10 in phase 2. That's why I said, oh, Cole, the other thing is I went in my contract that you won't retire till after we're gone.
Yeah.
Every
It's a deal.
and everybody
Every person we talk to says Cole sets the tone, and that is very, very true. I've
Yeah.
spoken to you once or twice, and it's just terrific.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's easy when you're just being yourself.
True, true.
Well, thank you for that. That was, yes, Debbie.
I wanted to speak up about the quality of care and, you know, all of those elements and measurements. In my professional life, I was, my oversight was for compliance and surveys and inspections, the feds, the state, the whatevers. And it was very important to me, and I'm familiar with that, and it's just a part of my demeanor, is to look up the, first of all, when I was still just visiting, I toured the healthcare center. I wanted to have a look at what it was like and walk around like I was a surveyor. And I was very impressed. So then I went to the website, all of the websites, and I looked up the results of past surveys and what the dings may have been and what the corrective action plans were. And basically they were pretty absent. And so I matched that data with a couple of other contacts that I made. And it's impressive, the quality of care and the coordination of care, the qualification of the people who care for our residents, the response. There's a myriad. You all are familiar with much of this, I'm sure. And so it was a revelation for me to know that when I need that care, it will be administered to me of the highest quality and excel beyond expectations. So and we all should do that. We should check, like we look up our doctors and things like that. Look it up and you'll feel very, very confident of the various levels of care that you will receive here at the village. So that's that.
Thank you for adding that. It's very important. Marie, I know you've asked a question about monthly fee, and we've got a 50+ acre campus here with many different options to choose from, casitas, garden homes, and apartments. So that monthly fee is going to vary depending upon what your choice is. So what I'll do is I'll ask your residency counselor to reach out to you, and that way they can start a conversation with you and maybe narrow down what your choices are, and you guys can go from there and answer that question of the monthly fee. All right. I don't see any other questions coming in, and we're running out of time. We've got a few minutes left. Yes, Diane.
I have an important announcement to make.
Yeah.
There are 12 new ducklings in the canal. Hurry up and enjoy them. They are so cute.
The waterfront property rears its head again.
Yes. No feeding the animals though.
They are so cute. Yes, they are.
So what I'd like to do is just kind of wrap things up and let everybody go. Meaning, answer this question. For someone thinking about coming to Friendship Village, what would your advice be when they're out there assessing their choices? So anybody can go first. Anybody want to tackle that?
Well, I would say it's better to be 5 years too early than 5 minutes too late.
Yeah. Very good point. Yes,
Yeah, the sooner you can make the decision and start planning for it, the better, because then you will just come and join us and literally have the time of your life. as I said in the beginning, it's so easy to be here and be well cared for and served your food and have your cottages cleaned and pick up the phone and say, I need a light bulb. It's an experience that I had never had. Very grateful to be here.
What are you gonna ask?
Well,
Sharon.
Go ahead.
I would say for myself, it was to be informed, to really know all about this decision very important decision that I was making in my life. So it was important to me to be informed. That's why I spent so much time doing research and reading and listening and visiting various communities, participating in the events so that I would really know. Once I made that decision, I was so comfortable with it because I had done my research and I knew all of the ins and outs, and that is what I wanted. So research is really important so that you can make a really well-informed decision, I think.
Great. Thank you. Yes, Cheryl.
There's a lot of people who come and they tour all the facilities, but they only tour like the independent part. And I think it's important. I think Brenton and like Marilyn made a good point saying, well, and again, they had the opportunity, but they had the need to tour the healthcare center as well as probably like Nunning Camp. But it's really important to not only just walk in the door of the independent side, but also to maybe ask your marketing rep for a tour of some of these other facilities. Because those are the ones in my mind that sets Friendship Village apart from other places.
Terrific. Thank you. Yes, Margie.
The research is really important and there's so much to it. There are so many facets, but when it comes right down to it, it's going to be a gut reaction. You're going to know what feels right for you. And if you think you're not ready, that's fine, but the opportunity is going to come up for you to make that move. And if you've done your research and you know it felt good, when you get that call that says, we now have exactly what you're looking forward to, you're probably not going to say, oh, it's according to my master plan, I'm not supposed to be there yet, because we've now been here for 2.5 years and we were on the 3 to 5 years down the road. So we shouldn't be here. We have never, ever looked back. We know that this was the right decision. And we knew it because the decision was made already because of the research and just because it felt so good every time we were here. We knew that this would be our place, our forever home.
That's so awesome. Diane, anything you want to add to that?
I just think we have covered so much that everybody's reaching their saturation point. However, it's all very important in decision making. I think a great job as far as presenting it.
All right. Thank you very much. I've got one of my staff members on here that just sent a direct message to me that says, our residents are awesome. What a great group. I have to agree. Thank you all very much for joining us today and help answer some questions. It was very informative and I do appreciate your time. And Cole, thank you for participating as well. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Is there anything that you want to add?
No, I really appreciate our residents saying everything that they had to say. I couldn't agree more. And it's one of those weird feelings. It's like, we already know that you couldn't make a better decision, but convincing people to do that can be difficult. And it's one of those things you just want to be like, I'm telling you, I'm being honest with you. And it's hard to convey. But yeah, you're not going to find a better place. We had a lady that lived here for 30 years, Elsie Young. She's a really neat lady. And she always said, you can look all over the whole world and you won't find a better place. And I'll never forget that.
That's great. That's great. Yes, Cheryl.
Yeah, that we've all acknowledged what a great manager Cole is, but many of you people don't understand that he is the best barbecue person in the world.
Oh, my God.
In the world. So
And what about
that's
the
just
drinks?
another one of his many wonderful qualities.
And the bartender.
And
And
the
a bar-
bartending. Oh,
Yeah, the mint juleps, the mint juleps.
I'm not gonna be able to get my big fat head out of my office door here, folks. Cut it out.
oh, wow.
Well, all right,
I call Cole the mayor because this is a little town. It has, the characteristics. It's got a police department. It's got, restaurants and transportation services and utilities and all that other stuff. So he truly is just an amazing mayor. I know he gets a little.
And Floyd from time to time.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor. Well, everybody, thank you very much for participating today. You'll probably have some questions later on after the event, and I would encourage you to reach out to your residency counselors, and I'm going to encourage them to reach out to you. So if you do have any more questions, please pick up the phone or send an email and just let us know, and we'll get right on that. Thank you for participating today. It was fun. Thank you for letting me wear my hat. Appreciate that.
Cinco de Mayo.
Happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody. Thank you very much and have a great
Thank
afternoon.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.